the Traveling Knitter channel. This is the July knitting podcast episode. I spent most of July, pretty much all of July up until Tuesday in California. I went to my brother's wedding and then dog sat for them while they went on their honeymoon for a couple weeks. And with traveling, normally I bring a lot of projects. This time I really limited myself to two. I brought my cardigan and I brought socks. I didn't finish either of them. But knowing that this month was coming to a close, I did finish one project, and it is a donation hat. So I did manage to finish one hat. I wanted one finished object for the month of July. There is one day left, but I really don't think I'll have my cardigan finished because I do have, I have seaming to do, but I finished a hat. I feel like it's reversible. So it's 1x1 rib and then it's broken rib. And then the inside looks really cool too. So you could wear it this way as well. And my decreases look pretty good. You can barely see them on the inside. And on the outside, they look like this. So this is basically a self-drafted pattern. I cast on 96, knit 1x1 rib, and then I did broken rib, which is you knit a row and then you knit, purl, and then you knit a row. So I went and followed my ribbing. And then when it got to the time of decreasing, I basically wanted to decrease 2 at a time so that I would have a center decrease. And I decreased on the knit rounds, and then I decreased and then knit and pattern, decreased and pattern. So every other round I decreased. I did 96 was divisible by 6. And so that's what I did. So there are 6 instances of decreases. And I did a double center decrease, I think is what it's called. Basically, I slipped 2 as if to knit together, knit the 3rd stitch, and pass the 2 slip stitches over. So what that does is have your center stitch be facing. So my center stitch is facing. And my center stitch was always a knit stitch. So the very first time I did it, I ended up with 3 knit stitches in a row, and I just left that. So it was basically knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, 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 purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, 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 that sort of thing. And this is what it ends up looking like. So every other decrease, or every 4th round, you get back into a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl alternating, but then every second there's 3 knit stitches together. But I think it looks great. So that is the decrease that I did. And here's the hat. My hair is in a braid, so I don't think it's gonna look that good, but there you go. Fits my head, covers my ears, so really, that's what you asked for, right? And I think that brings me up to 5 or 6 donation hats, which feels lovely because I said I wanted my goal to be 12 by the end of the year. The yarn I used for that is Red Heart Soft in the Deep Sea colorway. I have a lot left. I think I have more than half left. And I've been kind of thinking, do I want to make something else other than hats? Personally, I love cowls, but I feel like the general population doesn't appreciate cowls as much as knitters do. So I wonder, I feel like that would be a waste, and that if I donated it, it wouldn't get worn, even though you could have a matching set. I believe it's acrylics. I don't really want to do mittens because I feel like it's gonna do, yeah, it's acrylic. I feel like it's gonna do nothing if you use this for mittens. So I may just end up making, I think I'll end up making more hats, and I'll probably be able to make one full one and then some sort of color work hat, because I think I can make 2.5 hats essentially out of a 100 gram skein of worsted yarn. So that's that. I don't have any filters for my water at the moment, and so I've been surviving off of going to the gym and getting their filtered water. So that's why I'm drinking out of this giant water bottle, because I filled this up at the gym. Well, more like I filled it up at Pilates class, which I don't really count as the gym. Okay, so I have 4 active works in progress. Let's look at the Suburban wrap. I did not bring the Suburban wrap with me, so there is barely any change other than I did add my 3rd color, and I think it looks so good, if I do say so myself. This is Backyard Fibers, which I don't think you can buy anymore. It is an independently dyed yarn. It's fingering, there are 3 skeins. This is, the teal color is Marine, the white with the teal and orange is Trading Post, and the orange is Bittersweet. I love that orange. So I did stripes, had the lace, which you would have seen last time, because there's my progress keeper, and then I started the orange section, which is a textured section. This is by Joji Locatelli. I am on section 4, I think. Yes, I am on section 4 out of 12 plus the end ribbing. So I have quite a while to go, although I don't know, maybe this is 60 grams left of my blue. It did have a big chunk right at the beginning of that teal, and then those stripes were quite a bit as well. I'm loving this. This is gonna look so good in the fall. I think it looks super good with my jeans jacket. I cannot wait. And it's been really enjoyable having a shawl back on the needles. Just feels really nice. I say that when I have 2 like self-drafted designs of shawls on my needle that I should get back to. This bag is by Daisy Girl & Company. It is this most adorable Peter Pan print. I love it so much. I say it every time. I basically got nowhere on my Solaris top, but that's okay. At least I'm pretty sure I got nowhere. Ugh, it's all tangled. And I don't know if I even have a progress keeper on this. Do I? I have a stitch marker, another stitch marker. No progress keeper. Okay, I'm gonna add that, but there it is. There is my Solaris top. Here is what it's looking like. The variegation shows up much more on camera. In person, it's not as stark. It's so pretty. I really hope I really need to finish this before it gets cold. Although I feel like everywhere in the world is having a heat wave. I think I read somewhere that this month has been the hottest on the planet that has ever been. For seeing a lot of doomsday stuff. So I'm not too worried about not being able to wear that tank top, because I think I will. I forget who the designer is. They have like Maria something something to, it's 3 names. And I believe I just saw that they released another pattern that looks super cute. So I gotta finish this guy. It's a tank top. It shouldn't take me very long. It is in my Fat Squirrel bag that I bought, I think I bought at Yellow Springs. Annoyingly enough, I pulled the fabric out because I was wanting to square it off, but it's unfinished and I shouldn't have done that. So I keep trying to shove it back in, but that was kind of the reasoning, was it was such a weird, it was like squished in really weird. Maybe I'll just do it right now on camera. Oh, I think I need to use that pen to shove it back in. Oh, I just did it. Okay, yeah, because it like, I don't know, this is kind of what it was doing. Like, it looked weird, so I pulled it out and then realized it shouldn't have been pulled out. Honestly, I think it should have been sewn a bit more, but either way, there's my Fat Squirrel bag. I really like the fabric. It's really cute. The socks that I started, they're in this cherry bag that my friend got me for my birthday. And these are leftover yarn. This is Teal Torch Knits that I used for my Birds of a Feather. And these are the Irving socks by Jacqueline Salem of Brooklyn Knitfolk. The colorway is just so pretty. It reminds me, other than the blue, but it reminds me of the like black raspberry chip ice cream. The purpley pink is almost, it's like a perfect match for that ice cream. So cute. I need to weigh this. I think I had about 75 grams. So I need to make sure that I don't run out and use too much on the first sock. I'm going to be using this color as the toes, which I'll absolutely have enough. I'll end up with leftovers. But this is one of the colorways from the Dahlia Peony. I can't remember. It was a mini skein set from Ashen Bumble. So I'll use that as the toe. Fun thing about these socks is I was knitting on them at Disneyland. So I'm decorating my yarn journal with Disney stickers for this. Irving is a sock that I've wanted to knit for forever, and I'm super excited to finally get to them. I probably am going to make them shorter just because of the yarn situation, but probably not that much shorter because I tend to not use up a 100 gram skein of yarn when I knit socks for myself. And then the last project in this familiar bag that I unfortunately don't know who made it because there is no tag. This is holding my Savion cardigan, and this is all the yarn I have left. I am I will use all of it. I'm a little worried that I might run out, which I don't want to do, but I have a game plan if I do run out. So what have I done? Pretty much all of it. So the last time you saw it, I was working on one of the sleeves, which I have finished other than I need to seam it. And then I finished the other sleeve, which I also need to seam. And and you can see my progress keeper up here. I knit from here, all of this. This is a lot of knitting. This is all over patterning. And it's twisted stitches essentially. It's a lot. It takes me a while. There is no like breather row. Every single row is a twisted stitches row. So it's taking so long, but I love the result and I think it's going to be such a beautiful cardigan when I'm finished. So what I have to finish still is I have, I think, 8 centimeters to do in the body, and then I do ribbing. I would love to make it longer. I will run out of yarn. I know I will run out of yarn because I looked at how much I used for the sleeve, and then I knit the rest of it on here. And so the sleeve is the same amount. I had the same amount on both sleeves. So I know how many centimeters I can get out of it. And it's not enough to then be able to do the finishing, which is I-cord, it's I-cord around the neckband. I don't know how much yarn that I-cord's gonna take. That's what I'm worried about. So my ideas are, 1, try not to use up all my yarn. That's idea number 1. I'm going to seam the sleeves and then see how much extra yarn I have for the sleeves, because I left myself a long tail so that I wouldn't, deal with much when I was seaming. It's not that much, but if I'm doing my I-cord and I get to where I need like 10 more feet, then I'm hoping I can eke it out of the sleeves. Oh, yeah, like it would be nice to be able to get it out of the sleeves. I don't think anywhere else I have long ends. Yeah, nowhere else do I have long ends, so that would be really it. My other thought is to look through my minis to see if I have anything that is kind of this color, or if I have a larger skein that is kind of like this. I'm not sure. It's variegated, so it would be tough to find something that is this. And then my other option, which would most likely is like the last option, is I'll take a white and I will go around the edges with white, which I don't want to do because then I may need to go around my sleeves in white so that it matches. So that is essentially the plan. Oh, what about this guy? No, too brown. It would be amazing if I did find something that was similar, because then I wouldn't be as stressed about it. Not that I'm stressed, it's just knitting. But it would be really nice too bright. This is riveting for you guys with me looking at my yarn. So yeah, this is my Savion cardigan by Audrey Borrego. I am so excited to have this finished. And even if it's short, so right now, and it's not blocked, it's definitely a stretchy fabric. Right now it comes to a little bit below my hips. And it would be, that's a fine size. It's a cardigan, it's an open face cardigan. Those are pretty forgiving, but I did want it longer. Super cute. I would recommend this pattern. I think it's going to be really wearable. I think it's going to look really nice. In the beginning, it did take me a while to learn what I was doing, or basically not have to reference the pattern. But once I was able to read my knitting, I really don't look at the pattern other than to see measurements for how much further I need to knit. The yarn is Hey Sister Yarn Co. in their Fantastic base in the sepia colorway. They no longer dye yarn, but this is the label. And I had 3 skeins of it that I will be using all of it, which also feels so good. In my last podcast episode, I filmed it, I think either I was going to the airport that day or I was going to the airport the next day, but it was pretty close to when I was leaving for the airport. And I'd mentioned that I was waiting for yarn. And I think I put it in post-production because I was editing while I was in LA, that the yarn arrived essentially when I got onto my flight. Like, I got the notification that my yarn had been delivered. So it was just poor, unfortunate timing. The yarn I purchased is Drops Air. I got 6 skeins of it, which now I'm worried, did I buy enough? This is for a test knit. It's an all over cabled test knit that is due in September. So I need to start this pretty much when I finish my cardigan. Here's what it looks like. This is in the color 41. It's a lavender, and the Drops Air is a blown yarn of baby alpaca and merino wool. It's 50 grams with 164 yards or 150 meters. Looks like this. I think it's really pretty and it's very soft. It's softer than the Knit Picks blown yarn that I used. And this one, the tubing or the casing is very obvious, which it isn't as obvious on the Knit Picks one. Wonder Fluff is what theirs is called. In the viewfinder or camera, I see this like thing and I'm like, why is my hair like that? It's not doing it on this side, but on this side there's this weird lump thing. I went to several yarn stores and I will be posting a video of my trip to California. I went to Disneyland, I went to a soccer game, and I went to yarn stores and bookstores. So I did purchase some yarn, more than I really had planned to, but it happens. I went to all the yarn stores, I forget what they're called, but they'll be in the vlog. I purchased 2 skeins of red stag fiber in the cottage sock, which is 75.25, in the colorway Old Town. I would have purchased a third skein, but they did not have a third skein. So, and I need to redo this one. Well, that looks hideous, but it's fine. So these two. I also found some skeins of Black Elephant, which is one of the first indie dyed yarns that I'd ever come across when I first learned about indie dyed yarns. They're from the UK, I believe. At first I thought they were Germany, but the website that they have on here is UK. They did have a couple skeins of different colors, but I'm trying not to buy skeins that have no purpose, especially multiple skeins that all together have no purpose. So I just grabbed one single skein of the singles. This is the color Petra. Super pretty. And I think it'll fit really well with all of the other single skeins that I have, like single weight. Then they had this wall of baby cat yarns. Oh, I loved finding dyers I'd never heard of. This is a DK 100% superwash in Neon Watermelon. I don't know what this is going to be, but I thought it would be such a fun color in a colorwork sweater or a hat. I really liked the vibrancy of it. It is 230 yards in Neon Watermelon. Makes my skin very red. And lastly, at that yarn store, I picked up 2 skeins of pearls and postulates, and their 2022 September Real Women in STEM colorway is hair. Ooh, nope. Is there a, okay, there we go. Cellular Biologist is, I think, this colorway. Harris sock, 2-ply, 75-25, 463 yards. Oh, it's just so fun. It reminded me of one of my favorite colorways by Teal Torch Knits. And they had 2 of them. So I thought this would make a really fun t-shirt. Another yarn store I went to, they had a lot of this Linus du Nord, which I guess is Italian. This is cotton silk tweed. I had never purchased any of this yarn brand, and they had a couple different lines. So I picked up this one. This is 90% cotton, 10% silk. And on camera, it's coming, at least for me, it's coming up a little bit more yellow. It's definitely like a tan color, like a natural wood color with some silk noils in it that are mainly yellow, some orange and brown. So this also will be either a t-shirt or a tank top, some sort of summer knit. And this is colorway 5718. The last yarn store I went to, I purchased some of their dyed in store yarn. It's the Knitting Tree LA Blossoms collection in their Peruvian Highland Wool 80/20. It's a fingering weight. This one is called Barely See the Sidewalk. And I think the weight is striped iris. So fun. These will definitely be socks. My mom works at a yarn store now, which is the best thing to happen in my life at this moment. And she picked up five skeins of Sunness Gone Duo in the colorway 1015. And this is going to be a tank top. And I want to cast this on next. So it might be, this will be probably what I cast on after I finish my second project. So whether that be the socks, the tank top, or the shawl, this will be the next cast on after I cast on my test knit. And then it is a Blossom Trail. There's a yarn crawl happening in Michigan, Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. There are 64 stores that are involved. I am really not doing that because clearly for my 2023 goal, it was to have more yarn leave my stash than come in. And I just thought about that and I'm epically failing. Although I think I'm doing better than years previously. Anyway, I went to look at one of the stores and I can't go and not support. So I did purchase a Backyard Chicken. This is the Porcelain Bantam or Porcelain Bantam. 75-25, 460 yards, 100 grams, and 220 grams. And that's the yarn. So much to catalog and put away, and I'm gonna get back to the World Cup because it's the end of July going into August. The Women's World Cup is happening and I'm here for it. I've canceled all of my streaming services other than YouTube TV and Paramount Plus. Why Paramount Plus, you might ask? Because the NWSL is still going on, which is the National Women's Soccer League, which is the major league soccer league in the US for women. So unlike the rest of the world who starts their seasons earlier, we start ours so that we are still mid-season during a World Cup. But that's okay. Just means all I am doing is watching soccer. Pretty much. While I was in LA, I got to go to a soccer game, an NWSL soccer game, which was amazing. I've been watching the NWSL basically since 2015, pretty consistently. So like when they were on Yahoo Sports, which was how you could stream them online. And it took almost 10 years for me to go see an actual game in person. And that's because the nearest team is Racing Louisville, which is still like 5-6 hours away from me. So I guess it competes with Chicago, which is now 7 hours away. So it was great. My goal when I was in LA was to spot a celebrity, which I did at the game. Jennifer Garner was at the game, and then Mel B from the Spice Girls, she was at the game. Some dude that they put on the large TV, I guess, was famous. I didn't recognize him. No one around me recognized him, so somebody. And then of course the soccer players who are famous in their own right. It was exciting. Angel City won, which is awesome. I love going to games when we win. Yeah. I also went to 2 different beaches. One was a bit of a fail and the other one was much better, but I got very burnt. So I guess you could count both of them as fails, but I had fun at the second one. I kept going to Orange Theory. I walked Dexter the dog a lot. We walked a couple times, 3 times a day, and then 2 times a day and 1 time a day on days that I worked. It was 1 time a day because I'm just getting up so early. that really got me. I had my calendar blocked a bit in the morning, but he would want to wake up really early to go out to the bathroom. And so then I would get up and work, and it was just, oh my gosh, I was so tired. Then on the way back, so Friday before I left was the first US game, which I watched at Downtown Disney with a friend who had flown out because we went to Disneyland. Watching the game at Disneyland was quite fun. Not a ton of people were watching the game, but those that were, like, you could tell because we were all very into it. I had my jersey on. I had several people come up to me and ask how the game went, asked if we blew them out of the water. So it was like, clearly people understood what this game was supposed to be like. We did not, which was frustrating, especially because we just played the Netherlands and we tied 1-1, and yeah, which means we have to do better against Portugal than the Netherlands does against Vietnam, and Vietnam is a much better team than, or Portugal is a much better team than Vietnam. So yes, which, speaking of, that game is at 3 a.m. for me. So my game plan is tomorrow I am going to go to bed at like 8 o'clock if I can. And then I'll just wake up really early. Originally, I thought I could just stay up all night, but I don't know. I'm thinking waking up at 3 is going to be better. I don't know. 3 a.m. is just a crazy time to like get up for. Disneyland was super fun. I love going multiple days in a row. I just like going multiple days rather than shoving everything onto one day. It's a little bit more relaxing. I also really enjoy booking the restaurants because then you're not like waiting in lines, and then you can like sit down and have a bit of a break, which is really, really nice. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I bought Spirit jerseys, so many items of food, so much to drink, and a new Apple Watch band, which is too big, so I need to like cut it to make it fit better. I wanted to buy a puzzle, but at the end of the day, I was just really tired and I just didn't feel like going and finding that puzzle. And I found it on Poshmark for slightly cheaper than it was in the store, but buying it on eBay and stuff is more expensive, which annoys me. Like, in a lot of places, you can buy the things that are in the store or whatever cheaper than at the location, but not with Disney souvenirs. I've always noticed this. I bought this Pirates of the Caribbean Battleship game, which was expensive at Disney. I think I spent $50 on a Battleship game. But at the time, I haven't checked now, but at the time, you could not buy this dang Battleship game for less than $70, like on like from Amazon or eBay or whatever. So I should look into that to see if I could resell it. Like, I still love that game. I like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's one of my favorite Disney franchises. I love the ride as well. Okay. Yeah. So, and then on my way home, I had an interesting, my nose is just really itchy all of a sudden. I had an interesting travel. We got up early because my friend's flight was a few hours before mine. And I was like, I'll just be at the airport watching soccer, which is pretty much what I did. The first flight got delayed while we were on the plane, sitting on the tarmac, because the Albuquerque station had a system failure, and so they had to ground all the flights. Luckily, it didn't take very long, and I had a couple hours of layover in Phoenix, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Get to Phoenix, I watch another soccer game, I download a soccer game for the flight, and on the way to Columbus, we get diverted to fly to O'Hare because Columbus had some pretty bad storms, and I guess there was a tornado, and the Columbus airport or Columbus Tower got evacuated, and so they also grounded all planes, so you couldn't take off and you couldn't land. They tried to divert us to Indianapolis, which at that point I probably would have just gotten into a car and driven the rest of the way, but Chicago was just a bit too far. And the bag situation, we got to O'Hare at 9:30. I got my bag and got to my hotel at 1 a.m. It took so long for me to get my bag. And you're thinking you should have just left it. I wish I could. My contacts are one-a-days, and my contacts were literally falling out of my eyes, and I cannot see. Like, I cannot see. I think I may have said it in a different podcast episode, but I was denied LASIK because my vision is too bad. Because of my eyeball curvature, they cannot shave more of my eyeball to be able to see. I cannot have that done. My vision is that bad. So my contacts are very important to me. And you're probably thinking, well, why did you not keep them in your book bag? Because normally it doesn't take that long to get your bags. The max that I've waited for my bag is 2 hours or 2.5. That, which I guess, so 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. I guess it was about the same amount, but that was later than I've ever had it happen. And they had told me it would take half an hour, which I should have debated and been like, is that really half an hour or is that 2.5 hours, which is what it normally takes you guys to give me my bag. So whatever. And then also I was kind of irritated because like, they're like, sit wherever you want and we'll come get you. They didn't come get me, even though I was right there. And I noticed that they're like going to the people that have bags. So I walk over, I'm like, are you getting bags? And they're like, not for you. And I'm like, I'm on this flight though from to Columbus. He's like, oh yeah, I am getting bags for Columbus. I'm like, okay. Can I have your bag check? And I'm like, no, I have it on my phone. He's like, well, I need it. I need the paper. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just need the code. Like, it's 2023. It's digital, man. It's digital. So I'm like, well, can you give me a pen and I'll write it down on a piece of paper for you? And he's like, he got kind of irritated about it. I'm like, I was being really friendly. I'm a pretty friendly person in a crisis. I don't panic. I don't get upset. I don't get angry at people. I'm pretty calm. But internally, I'm just like, my man, why are you being so rude? Why are you being so obnoxious? You know? And he's like, it'll be out in half an hour. And I was like, it was not half an hour. And I hate when they like flat out lie to you. Like, if it's going to take 2.5 hours, let it take 2.5 hours. Just tell me that, because then I could have gone to the hotel. Like, I could have gotten to the hotel, dropped the stuff off that I had with me, and, you know, just found food. I didn't have any food that whole day. I had one donut and 2 croissants. That's all I had that day. And we got a food voucher, but everything was closed at O'Hare. So you couldn't get any food. And it was just really frustrating because I was looking at the restaurants that were near my hotel. I'm like, oh, there's a Korean barbecue. I could go to the Korean barbecue. But I couldn't because I didn't get to my hotel until 1 o'clock and it closed at midnight. So it's just like things like that. If you had said it would take 2.5 hours, then I would have done something differently. Instead, I sat on the floor with my work laptop, working, because at this point I hadn't planned to take Tuesday off. I had to move stuff around. I had to send emails. I basically had to do the things that I was going to do in the morning. So it was just kind of annoying. Then I texted my boss, which I was like, this is so familiar. Like, other than before, I would just Well, no, I texted my boss as well before, but it was on my work cell phone, so it felt a little different with it being on my personal phone. But I took a picture of my stuff laid out on the floor, and it brought me back. It brought me back to what I used to do as my job, which is where my name comes from, a traveling knitter. If you have not been with me since the start of my podcast, I used to be a traveling software consultant, software installer, and I used to travel the United States installing software at dealerships. And so I was basically living in cars, hotels, airports, Airbnbs. It was so much part of my life, and parts of it I miss, parts of it I don't miss. I don't miss the pay. The pay was not that good. My starting salary was $32,000, and I lived out of a suitcase, and I was never home. So like, I wasn't that upset. It wasn't a big deal. My main issue was that I was just really, really tired. Again, this is week 4 of me not getting a lot of sleep. So I had to wake up early. I had to be downstairs to catch the bus at 5:45 because the buses ran on the hour, and I thought that the 7 o'clock bus wasn't going to get me to the airport in time for a 9 o'clock flight where I had to check a bag. So yeah, I worked a little bit. I worked at the airport, which is kind of funny because there was quite a few people that were on my flight. Everyone just got rebooked for the next day that were clearly working. Like, a lot of us were in line with headsets, just talking on conference calls. So, which is what I had to do. I had my laptop up and I was talking on a conference call about a campaign that we're running. So yeah, got home around lunchtime, a little afternoon, and just started working. And then I went to sleep right after work. Well, almost. I had pre-booked a workout class because I was feeling very ambitious the week before, and I didn't cancel it. So I had to go. So that's that. And here we are, making our way into August, full speed ahead with the World Cup and going to the gym. And do I have a trip in August? I might have a trip. I am waffling back and forth on going to New York because I haven't gone yet this year, and flights are under $150 right now. That's the big reason. I'm like, $150? I spend that much money on yarn whenever I go into a store. So I am very interested in it. But I also am going to Boston, and I'm really hoping we're going to Germany. So I do have quite a few trips that are not cheap coming up. So we'll see if I end up going to New York. I would love it though. All right, that is me and what's been going on in my life, and I hope your summer or winter is going lovely. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, I hope you can get to a game, even though I think all of them are like sold out or pretty expensive. I did get tickets to the September game that's in Cincinnati. The US play South Africa right after the World Cup. One of my old coworkers, he got tickets and he had an extra one because honestly I forgot to buy mine. And they're like on the grass, so like right in line with the field, which is exciting. I've never sat that close to a field. All right, I'm gonna stop blathering on and go back to soccer and knitting and make dinner. I hope your July has been super fun. I hope you are knitting so many things, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.